Living in LA, I lived in a lot of anxiety. It was a lot of anxiety. I had a lot of anxiety.
Be love. Be light. Be peace. Be life. Be wrong. Alright. Be strong. Be bold. Be black. Be gold. Be love. Be love. Be love.
What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to my channel. My name is Whitney, and you are tuned into Whitney's Corner. And if you are not new here, y'all know the vibe. Give me a yer in the comment section. Make sure you give me a yer. But anyway, you guys, so your girl been out here YouTubing. You know, because I'm a YouTuber. And so, you know, as YouTubers, we got to look at the analytics. And so I was looking at analytics and all that. And what I found out was that one of my videos has the most views is why did I leave LA? And so I was like, oh, let me give y'all the updated version because, child, I ain't even gonna hold y'all. I looked at that video and I was like, girl, how people looking at this video? Because it was given dry.com. I literally had made that video like probably 3 or 4 days after I moved back from LA. I didn't even have furniture. Like, I was sitting on somebody's floor and it was not giving what it's supposed to have gave. And so I figured I'll do a updated version, and yeah, just updated version. Subscribe. We are growing as a community, and we can't get nowhere if y'all looking at the video but not subscribing. I need y'all to subscribe. Come hang out with me every Sunday. Come chill with me. Come vibe with me. Get y'all a little coffee, whatever y'all need to do. But come hang out. I just want to hang out with y'all. Hang out with me in the comment section. Send me a heart. Send me a or something. Tell me something in the comment section. So I know that y'all real. I know that this love is legit and genuine, and you know what I'm saying? Talk to me, y'all. Talk to me. Let me give you guys a little backstory, a little big story of why did I move to LA and why I moved from LA. So I moved to LA because I've always wanted to go to California, even at a young age. Like, I would tell people, like, yeah, you know, I'm going to move to California. And the reason I would say California is because, child, in my mind, I was like, I'm from New York, born and raised. And so I was always like, yo, like, I want to go to another city base because I'm a city gal. And so, you know, anybody that's from a city gal, you know, you want something just as fast as New York. And so that's what I always envisioned in my mind, as you know, at that age. And so fast forward to 2019. 2019 was a very difficult time in my life. I had struggled from a mental breakdown. Well, my second mental breakdown. As you guys know, I talk a lot about my mental health, and so I'll leave something on the screen of why I had a mental breakdown. So anyway, I had a mental breakdown. I was admitted to a psych ward for 6 days. Out of 6 days, literally, like, just before the 6 days, my sister and I had booked a flight to LA. And so I was like, all right, y'all, like, so while I'm in the psych ward, I'm like, y'all need to let me out, like, because I got a flight leaving like 4 days, like 4 days from now. So I need y'all to let me out. And so by the grace of God, they let me out. They let me out in time. And so my sister and I, we fly to LA. But when I get to LA, I tell y'all one thing, child. I remember LA, but I don't, because my mind was still fogged from like my depression, and I literally had just started my antidepressant. It didn't kick in yet. So when I think about LA around that time, it was literally a fog, because I could not remember a lot of things that went on. And which is, when I think about it, I'm like, damn, like, that was kind of messed up. Like, not messed up, but it was like, dang, like, you moved to a city that you didn't really like remember. But what I did remember was that I remember the weather. I remember my sister and I going to see the Hollywood sign. I remember it just like certain places where we stayed in the downtown area of LA. certain areas was really nice. And so I was like, yeah, of course, like I wanna move to LA. And so fast forward to July 2020. Now we all know what was going on in 2020. We had the whole pandemic. It was a lot going on. But around that time I was going through, my grandmother was slowly transitioning. And anybody that knows me knows that I was a caretaker for my grandmother who had dementia, practically my whole life. Like, literally my whole life I took care of my grandma. And so this was like kind of like an opportunity for me to kind of get to know myself better, because it was just, at the time, all I knew was being a caretaker and being an entrepreneur. And I didn't really know who I was as a person. And so I had made the conscious decision to be like, all right, this is my time to go to LA. And so August 2020, now mind you, when I bought my one-way ticket, my grandmother was still alive. And then August of 2020, my grandmother transitioned, which put an extra layer of, yeah, girl, you definitely need to figure out who you are as a person. So, I basically start packing up my stuff. Now mind you, I'm packing up my whole life. Because in my mind, I was like, I'm not moving back to New York. Like I'm gone. Like I'm leaving. I ain't coming back. And so I was like, all right, let's pack this stuff up and let's dip. And so now mind you, when I bought my one-way ticket, I literally had nowhere to live, and I didn't have the finances to have a place to live. Okay. But by the grace of God, God says, walk by faith. So that's what we was doing. We was walking by faith, and by grace of God, everything worked out. I literally had got a apartment for like literally 6 days. 6 days before this whole 6 days. Like God has this thing where he does things 6 days for me. I don't know. But literally 6 days before I went to LA, I wind up getting a place. And when I say getting a place, it was my intention was to get my own place, but I wind up finding a company that allowed me to have roommates. And so I get to LA. When I first get to LA, they didn't have my apartment ready, so I roommate with another person, a temporary roommate, in a temporary like room. And it was, the first month I enjoyed it. When I say the first month, from September to October 2020, I enjoyed myself. Your girl was living her best life. I feel like I was able to like breathe a little bit. I was able to grieve. I was able to just be a better version of myself. Now after, October, I didn't get into my permanent room. And when I get there, I'm the only one there the first day because my other roommates didn't move in. So that I wind up getting, my roommates, and it was 2 males. I wasn't like, with this company, you're not choosing your roommates. Like you're not choosing your roommates. They're choosing the roommates for you. And I didn't mind it too much because I kind of get along with males. I prefer males than females. And that's just my own thing. That's not like, I have a lot of female friends, but it's just my own preference. This went on, and I feel like I personally felt like I didn't find peace in my living space. Like I felt like it was just so much going on. And when I say so much going on, I felt like I was living with 2 males. So anyone knows males, it's a lot that be going on. And so I just didn't feel comfortable. When I say that, I'm not saying like, none of the 2 male roommates tried anything on me or anything. Like it wasn't that type of party. It's just, they're 2 males. And so I found myself being more drawn to being outside. Again, this is during the pandemic. There's not a lot going on outside, especially in LA. It was not a lot going on. But, I just felt like I just wanted to spend more of my time outside. And when I say outside, because I work, like, I was still a full-time entrepreneur. So there was no me waking up and going to work. Like, that was, like, I worked from home. And so I found myself not really wanting to just be at home. I just was like, girl, let's just go, outside. It's LA, nice weather. Now, when I would go outside, I'm thinking it's like New York. You go take a stroll down the block. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's that's the mindset I had when I went to LA. Now, child, it ain't the same. It definitely ain't the same. And even when I'm stubborn. So people used to be like, Whitney, when you go to LA, you need a car. You need a car. You need a car. And I'm like, whatever. Like, y'all don't understand. Like, I'm from New York. Like, if you could make it in New York, you could make it anywhere. Like, that's the reality, child. No. So I get to LA. I mean, so I'm traveling outside, and child, I realized that, LA got there's a lot going on outside. There's a lot going on outside. And when I say a lot going on outside, and I'm not saying this in any like negative way or anything, but LA has a very high rate of homeless. And when I say the homeless rate was way higher than I was expecting. And also because of the pandemic and stuff like that. But also someone who also struggles with their mental health, it was a lot to take in with people who are not just homeless, but they're also struggling with their mental health. So for me, it was just a lot to take in. It was a lot to take in because it was like, yo, where am I? What's happening? Like, the city is beautiful, but the people in LA are struggling like a lot. And so I was just seeing it a lot. And then I remember also growing up, people always say, if you go to California, stay away from Skid Row, stay away from Skid Row. So I was like, what the hell is Skid Row? I definitely, anybody that don't know what Skid Row is literally a community. It's literally a community of homeless people who live in a certain part of the city. And I'm not saying it's just like one block. These are blocks of like tents and like homeless people. Like, it's crazy. I'm not even gonna, I'll leave a link or something down below to give you guys a better understanding of what that community looks like. But even that, when it came to like the tents, I'm from New York. If you see somebody outside with a tent, you don't know what's going to pop out. You don't know what's going to happen. So in my mind, I'm like, every time I would walk past a tent, I'm like, yo, like what we doing? And so, I was like, I would just say, living in LA, I lived in a lot of anxiety. It was a lot of I had a lot of anxiety. From living with 2 male roommates to literally going outside and just seeing chaos. Like, it was just a lot for me to process. And so after 5 months of living there, it was actually my birthday. So January of 2021, it was my birthday. And now mind you, again, I had friends who lived in LA, but anyone that knows LA, you know that it is very hard to link up with people. Like, it's very hard. I wasn't aware of that. I mean, I was, but I wasn't. But it was very hard for me to connect with new people because, one, it was the pandemic. Two, it's not like New York. You just go to a networking event and you just meet up with new people. Like, cause from me doing business all the time, I know how that goes. I know how the networking go, but it wasn't given that. And so with me going, I had one good friend that lived out there, super cool, super down to earth. Her and I would go hiking and stuff like that. But then again, the pandemic around December 2020, they really tightened up the city. Like, the city was basically on like shutdown mode. Like nobody was really outside. So I did, because of my anxiety was getting so bad, I literally just didn't want to like even go outside. Like I was like, bro, I just don't even want to go outside. So now I'm stuck in my room because, you know, I can, like, I'm cool with my roommates, but not cool like that. So I'm just isolated. Basically, I isolated myself into my own room. And it was just, I just felt sad. So around my birthday came up, and I just was like, I just cried. Like I was just sad. I was so sad. And I was sad. And so I called my sister on FaceTime, and, you know, because normally for my birthday, I like to celebrate. Like I'm a, like, one thing about me, I'm a celebrate a girl's birthday. And that wasn't the case. And so I wound up just being like, all right, cool. Like, this is my sign. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like that was my time to just go back home. Like, when I say go back home, go back to New York. And that's what I did. I packed my stuff up. And literally, like, a day and a half, I packed my stuff up. When I say pack my stuff up, my 2 suitcases and a book bag and my cat. And I came back to New York. And yeah, I hadn't, it's been, what, 3 years now? I hadn't, well, actually, what has it been, 2? I came back 2021, 22, 23. So it's been 2 years since I haven't returned back to, I went to California, but I haven't went to LA. But one of the things I do miss about LA is like the hiking and stuff like that. I will never live in LA. But I won't mind visiting. LA for me was just a healing ground for me. It was a space for me to grieve. It was a space for me to learn myself, because I definitely learned myself while being in LA. And I enjoyed it for what it was. It just wasn't the city for me. Like, it really wasn't. And so I'm back in New York, and I feel like since being back in New York, there was other things that went on when I came back from New York. I mean, when I came back from LA, which I'll talk about in the next video. I'll give you guys an updated version of that. But other than that, child, I know this video was kind of long. I apologize, but it is what it is. And yeah, like, if you guys are from LA, or you guys looking to move to LA, let me know in the comment section what y'all vibe is, what y'all thoughts about LA. But also, I had created that video because a lot of people were talking about leaving LA, and so I figured I'll make that video. But let me know in the comment section how you guys feel about LA. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.